Hello and thanks for joining us. From Beauty and the Beast's censorship issues to two of France's favourite actresses facing off in Midwife. Welcome to Encore's weekly film show.
Très épaté, hein?
Moi, j'aurais été heureuse d'avoir une fille comme toi.
Je peux vous demander pourquoi vous avez disparu du jour au lendemain?
And film critic Lisa Nesselson joins us. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Eve.
Now we're starting with the French film of the week, Midwife, starring the national treasure, Catherine Deneuve.
Ah, yes, this film, which I like very, very much, was written to order for its two leading ladies by writer-director Martin Provost, who has a pretty enviable track record. His film Séraphine, about spacey, self-taught artist Séraphine de Senlis, won 7 César Awards back in 2008, and he made a superb film in 2013 called Violette, about the real-life misfit writer Violette Leduc and her crush on Simone de Beauvoir. In other words, he's a guy who's very good at making films about female characters, and he wanted to make this one because a midwife actually saved his life when he was born. It's about a no-nonsense midwife who is absolutely devoted to her job, and what happens when her father's extravagantly self-centered former mistress pops back into her life decades later. Let's take a look.
Je me demandais si vous n'étiez pas sa fille. Je suis Béatrice Sobolewski.
Bien comme ton père, toi. Pas une goutte d'alcool.
Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il est devenu? Il est mort. Peu de temps après votre départ. Quelqu'un du passé revenait vers toi. Quelqu'un qui t'a fait du mal.
Je change de trottoir. Pas toi.
Vous disparaissez pendant plus de 30 ans et il faut que je sois au garde à vous parce que vous avez besoin de moi.
Claire! D'accord, je dis un peu garce avec ton père, mais vous pouvez pas imaginer qu'il se tuerait à cause de moi.
Ça vous flatte, hein?
It's called Midwife, and the birth sequences in this film are very realistic, aren't they?
They certainly are, and that's because the filmmakers actually shot 6 authentic births, and actress Catherine Frot participated for real. Now, those scenes were shot in Belgium, since it's against the law in France to film a child before the age of 6 months. So stage mothers here in France, they have to wait at least half a year before pushing their children into show business. This film stars 2 incredibly talented actresses named Catherine. Here's the first. You may have heard of her.
I struggled to identify with her. I like her a lot. It's a character I really enjoyed playing, but she's very different from me. When one character tells another that it's good to have children because one day they can look after you, it really made me laugh.
Now, everybody knows who Catherine Deneuve is. She's had an international profile since the 1960s. You may not have heard of Catherine Frot, and that's interesting because it turns out she is the most bankable actress working in French movies and has been for quite a few years. The French have a word for that. It's bankable, and what that means is if you cast her in your film, you are very likely to make your money back and make a handsome profit. The people in Paris who buy tickets to movies like her just fine, but the people in other regions are absolutely nuts about her. She deservedly won the Best Actress César a year ago for the title role in Marguerite, a splendid adaptation of the life of Florence Foster Jenkins, the wealthy American opera lover who couldn't sing a note but went on doing so anyway. And they moved it from New York in the 1940s to Paris in the 1920s. Before that, Frot co-starred in The Page Turner, a taut little revenge tale that was the most sold film at Cannes back in 2006. And Deneuve's character in this movie is so oblivious and invasive that we understand perfectly well why Frot's character is not terribly happy to see her, but it is so much fun to watch these two get on each other's nerves. I really, really recommend this.
Well, to another French film now in which someone reappears when least expected and creates havoc. It's called in French Un Vie Ailleurs. It's a France-Uruguay co-production. Tell us more.
Well, in cross-cultural couples, there are countless examples of one parent running off with a child across borders, across oceans, effectively cutting off all ties with the other parent. In Un Vie Ailleurs, which means a life elsewhere or somewhere else, a French woman named Sylvie arrives in South America with a French social worker named Mehdi. She exudes a sense of expectation and unease. We have no idea what they're up to, but it seems suspicious, and they both speak fluent Spanish. Let's take a look.
Elle nous a demandé de l'aide, on lui a refusé.
Vous savez ce qui m'a fait tenir pendant tout ce temps? c'est d'imaginer le moment où il va me revoir.
Su mamá era francesa.
Sí, Sylvie, mi hermano la conoció trabajando allá. Estaba viviendo en Río cuando murió mi hermano.
Puis quand il va comprendre que je suis là, que je suis vraiment là, il va courir vers moi. Et moi, je vais le prendre dans mes bras et là, toute la peine, toute la souffrance, tout ça, tout sera oublié.
So what is actually going on?
Well, we learn in bits and pieces, and it's mysterious for quite a while, that Sylvie was married to a Uruguayan who worked in luxury hotels. They had a son, Felipe, who she hasn't seen since he was 5 because her ex-husband ran off with him from France to Uruguay. That was 4 years ago, and she and Mehdi are there to steal him back. But as Mehdi cases the terrain, he sees the evidence that Felipe, who is living modestly with his paternal aunt and grandmother, seems to be a thriving, well-adjusted kid with plenty of friends and a loving household. So Sylvie is anxiously waiting for Mehdi to bring her son back so that she can start being a mother to him again. And there's a conundrum here. This movie is well acted, well written. The locations, there's so much local color, you want to shake the hand of the person who scouted them. The Argentine actress is delightful, who plays the aunt. The boy is adorable. And yet the film feels almost completely unnecessary. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know who I would really recommend it to.
Okay. Well, from Australia comes a movie whose real title is Girl Asleep, but which has been renamed in English as Fantastic Birthday for its French release. Is there a reason for that?
There is, and I like the reason. Apparently, it was feared that instead of Girl Asleep, French people would hear girl en sleep, which means girl wearing underpants, and that wouldn't do. So hence, Fantastic Birthday, because this movie is fantastic in both senses of the word, and it does feature a hard-to-miss birthday party. I love this movie, which was just voted Best Australian Film of the Year by an Australian group of film critics. It's set in the 1970s, where the Driscoll family is new in town, and they're about to turn 15. Daughter Greta is trying to adjust to her new school, where she makes friends with a flamboyantly self-assured male classmate, Elliot. Now, did I mention that it's the 1980s? This allows for inherently amusing clothes and hairdos, and also for a parenting style that's closer to acting like a kid than acting like a grown-up. Let's take a look.
Greta's turning 15 soon.
Hey, you heard of that new movie? What's it called? Constipation.
No?
It's because it hasn't come out yet. You saw diarrhea, though.
Oh, enough.
And got leaked early.
We're still eating.
7, definitely a 7.
Well, hey, I haven't got a 7 in a while.
I'll get it.
If it's for me, don't answer it.
Excellent moustache there. So does it make you wish you were 15 again, or glad that you're not a teenager?
You know, I had a happy childhood, but you couldn't pay me to be an adolescent again. And this film, which started as a stage play that was then invited to be adapted to the big screen, does an incredibly entertaining job of capturing what it feels like to be at that, shall we say, awkward age. The acting is deadpan wonderful. The images are really strange and memorable. Greta ends up having to endure this birthday party that she absolutely did not want in the first place. If you stay through the end credits, you will be rewarded. This is a wacky and wonderful first film.
Well, it certainly sounds original. The next film, though, isn't. It's the new live-action film Beauty and the Beast. It's out in France this week. It's already broken records in the US. But even though it's a Disney musical aimed at children, there are some censorship issues, aren't there?
Indeed, there are. The word Disney suggests a happy ending, right? Well, there was international outcry because Malaysia, where being homosexual can land you in prison, they asked for 4 minutes to be removed because they seemed to advocate gay behavior. Disney, to its credit, simply withdrew the film rather than, put up with the censorship. But as of March 21st, the authorities decided the film may be shown, but only to people aged 13 and over. Now, that's better than the situation in Russia, where there are no homosexuals, because Mr. Putin says so. In Russia, ticket buyers must be age 16 to get in. They must be 13, 16. And I love the Facebook account from the Henniger Drive-In Theater in Alabama, which is refusing to show Beauty and Beast because their statement begins, "If I can't sit through a movie with God or Jesus sitting by me, then we have no business showing it." And I assume that God or Jesus sitting by you is a figure of speech. But in case it's not, I'm wondering which one of them do you tell to get out of the car, go get some popcorn and snacks? I haven't seen the film yet, so I cannot speak to its artistic qualities or lack thereof, but it's based on a French tale. And it's got a pretty terrific cast, but this brouhaha raises this reoccurring question about the very nature of movies. Are they harmless entertainment or are they sneaky vehicles for propaganda? Censors in some places apparently believe that exposure to one character may turn countless people into homosexuals overnight or make straight people be more sympathetic to gay people, which of course would be a horrible, horrible outcome. I don't understand how this works. For example, in my professional and private capacity, I have watched many, many movies with serial killers in them. And maybe the next one is the movie where it'll stick, where I'll turn into a serial killer. But it hasn't happened yet. If this is a terrible movie, then I think the Malaysian and Russia censors are perhaps doing youngsters a favor. But you have to ask yourself, have they never heard of the concept whereby if you make something forbidden, it becomes that much more enticing and people want to find out what the fuss is about?
Okay, well, thank you, Lisa. I read actually today that Emma Watson said when she first heard herself sing in the film, it made her cry. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we're going to leave you with Beauty and the Beast. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Bonjour. 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 Bonjour.
There goes the baker with his tray like always. The same old bread and roast to serve. Every morning just the same, since the morning that we came to this poor provincial town.
Good morning, Belle.
Good morning, Monsieur Jean. Have you lost something again?
Well, I believe I have. The problem is I can't remember what. Oh well, I'm sure it'll come to me.